watching this on the business page, but make sure you get to our group, Leading in the Next Normal. There's a Facebook group where I deliver, I ask questions. You can get your questions answered, and we really go deep into different things around this. And I just want to check that this is working everywhere because I'm using this new thing, and it looks like we are good. So now what we wanted to do, what we're talking about today is I got a great question about virtual meetings. And do you require, or how do you require people to use their video during meetings like this, during virtual meetings? Because the question is, if you're hosting a virtual meeting, or if people are not on with the camera, do you ask them? Do you force them? What do you do? And my answer is it depends, because it really depends on the format. When I say the format, when we talk about virtual meetings, there can be so many different types of virtual meetings. There can be leadership meetings, management meetings, where maybe there's 3 or 4 or 5 board members that are part of the meeting. There can be a 3-hour-long. There can be 3-hour-long all company meetings where you have 1,000 people in there for a couple hours, and these are very, very different scenarios that really determine whether you want to ask people to have their cameras on or not. And I saw a recent post on social media, and they really made the case to quit worrying about the cameras so much in a lot of circumstances. But let me roll that back a little bit. So if I have a very intimate, closed group where we have to talk about very important things, I require people to have their cameras on. So if I am leading a management meeting where all of my managers from around wherever are getting together, I am requiring cameras on, because we are a tight-knit group. We really have to talk about things that are very important. And so I really need to see that they're engaged. They should be engaged on meetings like this the whole time. We really need to see each other's expressions, because we are discussing such important type of things. Now, so, and then if somebody wouldn't have their camera on and they would join, I would say, "Oh, hi, Sally, can you turn your camera on, please?" "Oh, I don't have it available." I would just leave it there, but then I would call Sally later and I would say, "Hey, to me, it's very important to have cameras on during these meetings. Can I get you to commit to having your camera on next meeting?" And I would do that offline, because in virtual meetings, you often don't want to call people out for something like that, especially nowadays. It seems like everybody's a bit burnt out, everybody's a bit tired, and you don't want to embarrass people in front of other people. Then they can just stay by themselves and stew. So that's what I would do in that situation. But when it comes to larger meetings, and especially virtual meetings, a lot of people get tied into meetings that maybe that's only relevant to them for 15 minutes out of the hour, for example, or their larger meetings. Some people, when they want to use the bathroom without disturbing you, or have a cup of coffee or tea. Or also, what I also realized in doing some research for this is culturally, it can be very different. Some cultures aren't as used to being on camera, and it depends on who your tribe is. If you're dealing with a bunch of programmers, for example, they may be a lot more introverted and not want to be on camera. So you really want to respect that, because if they're on camera, they're going to be worried, they're going to be stressed, and they really can't really relax. But if they're off camera, they can relax and do other things. And if you worry about people doing other things while you're running this virtual meeting, honestly, that's on you. A lot of making sure people have their cameras on is something about you, not about them. Because it's up to you to run the meeting with a good level of energy. It's up to you to keep things moving in the meeting. And so if people are zoning out, well, what about you? How can you take responsibility? Are your meetings too long? Are you not getting people involved? Is there not enough interaction in there? And so in my high performance virtual teams course, we do a whole hour on running successful virtual meetings. And I actually have a guest there in the high performing virtual teams. There's actually a bonus module with Jackie Berry, who talks about getting engagement. And she probably gives us 20, 25 different tactics for getting engagement in meetings. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of heads up. So don't worry as much about video on meetings. When you do the meeting, and the one thing that I also tell people is how you start the meeting. You personally, if you're running the meeting, how you start the meeting is how your meeting is going to go. And they say, well, the energy in my meetings are low. And I say, okay, well, in your first 30 seconds when you get the meeting started, how is your energy? And a lot of people say, oh, my energy's a little, I don't want to do this meeting. So if you don't want to be doing that meeting, they're not going to want to be at the meeting. So when you start the meeting, it should be, hey, Michael here, we got the 45-minute meeting. I got the agenda. Hey, Bob, how are you over there? Maybe say some people's names so that they're like, they get engaged. Maybe do a round of how everybody's doing. And you need to bring the upbeat energy. I don't mean you have to be rah or outside your personality, but if you start the meeting on low energy, how can you expect the rest of everybody else to join and participate in the meeting at a high level? All right, everybody, Michael here. Hopefully that helps. Always, as on these videos, if you click like, if you got something out of there, if you click like or love or whatever you want to click there, that helps because that has more people seeing it. If you have if you got value out of this, click comment. And because I always want to know feedback. And I do these every Thursday. So if you have any questions, pop it in there. And then next Thursday, I will answer it. I'll either answer it there in the comment or I will answer it here live. All right, everybody, here's to your leadership. I'm signing off. I'll see you next week.